I'm here with Miss Doris Drake. She's the executive director and owner of Rebirth Enterprise Youth Development Program and Bridging the Gap Mental Health Services. I want to welcome you to my show, and I want to thank you so much for allowing me to come here to interview you today. And the reason I want to interview you, obviously, I was referred to you by a friend of mine, Gina, who we both know.
Yes.
And I want to pick your brain about success.
Okay.
And that's the purpose of this, is to, help people that are out there that want to, maybe open their own business, or maybe thinking about it, or whatever they want to do as far as becoming successful with a business. Pick your brain about that and maybe give some tidbits about it. So for everyone that's out there listening, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from?
Of course. My name is Doris Drake, as you stated. I am from Columbia, South Carolina. I am the daughter of Percy Jones and my beloved mother, who's no longer here, Alma Jones. I am the third child. I have two older brothers and three younger sisters.
Third child?
Yeah, third child. I come from a large family, very large, supporting family. I have two kids, Unique Drake and John Drake. Unique is 19. She's attending St. John on a full basketball scholarship. This is her sophomore year. And my son is going to the 10th grade. He also plays basketball.
Okay. And how long have you been in business with both of your businesses? Well,
Rebirth Enterprise actually started, it's been a while. Rebirth Enterprise, because it started in different components because it was initially a ministry. So the idea of Rebirth Enterprise, it started maybe, I want to say, over 10 years ago. But like I said, it had different components to it. Bridging the Gap Mental Health Services started going on now 4 years. 4 years. But it took some while for me to, of course, develop it. But when it started, it's 4 years. The same thing with Rebirth Enterprise.
And can you explain a little bit the difference between the two, Rebirth? What's involved with Rebirth and Bridging the Gap?
Okay, so Rebirth Enterprise Youth Development Program is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and we cater to the youth. Basically, one of the programs I have is a spoken word program, and it helps the kids deal with their emotions through the use of spoken word. So we provide spoken word as a tool to help them manage their emotions instead of suppressing their emotions or acting out their emotions in unproductive ways. Through the spoken word program, we teaches them how to manage their emotions. And that's just one of the programs under Rebirth Enterprise Youth Development Program.
Okay. And what age group is that?
We cater 5 to 18, ages 5 through 18.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And what about Bridging the Gap?
Bridging the Gap Mental Health Services is basically a services for first responders and dispatchers to help them basically deal with or keep a mental stability in spite the stressful environment they are involved in with their job, as well as it teaches them about mental health in the community. Right. Because with my experience as being a 911 dispatcher for over 15 years, I noticed that in that field with emergency services, whether or not it was those as active in the field or dispatcher as I was, we were not familiar with mental health. So it's in being familiar with mental health will allow them to be able to help the communities better if they understand how to deal with them.
Oh, okay.
Deal with those who, having a mental health crisis.
And those are excellent programs because those are actually, obviously, those are needed in the community.
Very much needed.
They're definitely needed in the community. And how did the idea for your business come about? Okay,
well, Rebirth Youth Development Services, as I stated, I was a dispatcher. The last 3 years of me I dispatched for over 15 years for the city of Columbia. And the last 3 years, I went back to get my master's in counseling with mental health at Columbia International, CIU. Well, in doing so, I noticed that the latter years of me dispatching, a couple years, the call volume escalated for youth for suicide and behavior issues.
Right.
And I wanted to create a program or create a tool to help that issue, because I understood that the youth are dealing with so much more mentally than we had to deal with.
Right.
They are being prematurely exposed to things before they are physically, mentally, and spiritually prepared to deal with these things.
Right. Right.
So it's causing their emotions to be all over the place. And with that being said, they don't know how to handle their emotions.
Exactly.
So they might go on a deep end as far as committing suicide to deal with it, or behavior issues, or bullying. So I wanted to provide a tool or another component to make sure that we're providing these kids as much help as possible.
And that's the thing. I know you had been dispatching for, you said 15 years.
Over 15 years or so.
Over 15 years. And that's one thing that a lot of people don't realize that we deal with as a first responder or a dispatcher with the suicide calls, whether it's an adult, whether it's a kid. And you saw that need to help these folks with that. So that's, I definitely commend you on that.
Okay.
How did you come up with the name for your company?
Well, as I stated, Rebirth Enterprise, well, the name of Rebirth, I started over 10 years ago as I changed my life. So Rebirth was actually a name that I gave myself because I used to do I still do spoken word. So I do spoken word poetry and also create inspirational spoken word portraits and cards and things of that nature. So when I was getting ready to go on mic, the MC said, "What's your name? What's your name?"
Right.
And all of a sudden, Rebirth came to my mind, Rebirth.
Wow.
And to me, that just meant, as the name state, a new beginning, because I was going to start a new beginning of my life, because I wasn't doing spoken word at the time or using spoken word to express myself, or I was not walking in purpose. So as I started to walk in purpose, according to God's will, Rebirth, why not?
Exactly. It just fits.
Yes. And actually, the motto for Rebirth is prepared to be restored, renewed, and transformed.
Wow.
And I myself had to be renewed, transformed, and restored. So with my program, that's the same concept I'm taking with the kids. I want them to be renewed, restored, and transformed to be a better them.
Right. That's excellent.
Yes.
And starting your business, since we're talking about obviously success and people that may be looking at you and maybe following your footsteps and maybe thinking, I want to do this, but I'm a little scared. I'm a little, I don't know what it takes to get into it. Just to let them know what kind of sacrifices that you've had to make in order to start your business. So, maybe someone can get an idea of what it takes to start a business.
Now, we talk about sacrifice. As I stated, I dispatched for the city of Columbia for 15 years. I mean, I had a steady income coming in, pretty good income coming in, actually.
Right.
And once I completed my master's, I waited, stayed on the job for another year. And after that, I resigned. When I resigned, I gave them a 4-day notice. I'm resigning.
Right.
So that was a sacrifice I made.
Right.
I had no other job, nothing in plan. All I had was the vision and the goal and the purpose God gave me. Rebirth Enterprise and Bridging the Gap Mental Health Services. I didn't really get to talk on Bridging the Gap Mental Health Services, but that stemmed from my background from being a 911 dispatcher. In that field, especially with dispatchers, I noticed that we were not taken care of as far as having resources to help us maintain our mental.
Right.
We almost like the dispatchers are almost like the forgetting child.
Right.
People assume just because we're not out there on the field that we don't deal with the psychological impact. And it's very much so we do.
Right.
We own the calls, we're taking calls, suicides, homicides, home invasions, and although we may not actually see these things, we're visualizing these things in our minds.
Well, and you're getting the voice. You're getting that from the emotional side.
Oh, yes.
You're hearing it over the phone, and you can hear somebody. You can't be there to actually help them, but you can hear the fear in that person's voice when somebody's beating them, somebody's breaking into the house.
Yes.
So that does take an emotional toll.
It takes a very emotional, very emotional on a toll, especially psychological. And we're not getting the resources and the help. Understanding that, for example, I had an employee, a coworker who was experiencing bad migraines. So she was going to the doctor, and the doctor was giving her medicines as if it was something physical causing that.
Right.
But it wasn't anything physical, it was mental. So she's taking these aspirins like they candy, and they're not fixing anything.
It's not helping.
Because it's a mental thing that's going on with her.
Yeah. And it's mentally draining.
It's mentally draining, and there's no resources for someone even coming and explain psychological issues dealing with stress, psychosomatic disorders. There's no one coming to even explain to dispatchers, and I'm assuming, and I know as well as first responders, understanding what is psychosomatic disorders, what is actually stress, other than what we know on the surface. So with that being said, once I resigned, I said, you know what, I want to, because I'm always feel like I'm always a dispatcher in by heart, by trade. I wanted to give back.
Right.
And that was my way of giving back, because I knew the help they needed. And I didn't want to walk away knowing they needed that help and didn't provide it.
Right. And that's a huge sacrifice. Like you said, you just basically quit your job.
I quit.
You went out on faith.
I went out on faith. And, it says faith without work is dead. So I did not just have faith. I put in the work.
Exactly.
So we talking about 3-4 years of just putting both the business together, handling the 501c3 with one, calling around, doing my own advertising for the mental health services. So it took a while. Right. The foundation. Right. So while I'm setting the foundation, I did a little odds and ends with jobs to keep my head afloat, float above the water. But what I made sure of is that I did not go back to a 9-to-5 or 12-hour shifts. Right. I understood that I needed freedom to establish my business and to have meetings if I need to go to a meeting, or if I just need to have a time to just sit and be still without somebody telling me, well, you have to work, you have to do this. So I made sure that I did find little odds and end jobs that will allow me to keep my time. Exactly. And you had, like you said, you had that vision. And that vision is very important. And once you see that vision, you can see it there. All you got to do is get to it. You can see that. That's all you got to do. Just you can see it. Exactly. And with all that sacrifice and everything that you had going on, what were some fears that you had starting this business? And I know some of the obvious that may come to mind. But what were some of the fears that you may have had out there, stepping out on your own faith and everything? Even with having the vision and knowing that the vision was that of, God is showing me what I'm supposed to do and helping me be in purpose in His will. The fear I still had was, am I good enough? Who am I? Are they going to take me serious? So, and just even doubting my own self. Right. Just doubting my own skill set. And I would also think that as stepping out, and I'm sure a lot of entrepreneurs will probably agree with this, is knowing your worth. Understanding, how much do I charge? Exactly. Am I really worth this? Even though I know I have not only in both the experience and the education, are they going to think I'm qualified? Right. So dealing with almost self-doubt. And I think that's where a lot of people miss the mark of doing whatever it is they're supposed to be, whatever their vision is, whatever their purpose is. I think it's that self-doubt that gets us all the time. It gets us, because I'm talking about, I left a job, I still got mortgage, car payment, 2 kids. So just self-doubt. No one else on the outside, all me. Exactly. And like you said, you have that vision, and people have to realize, if you can see it in your mind,
you can hold it in your hand.
Yes.
And that's exactly what you did. And dealing with all that, and you're talking about, some of the fears, can I do this? Can I, can I succeed with this? Did you ever have to deal with any adversities or people, how some of your family and friends are the hardest to convince when you're starting a business? Did you have to ever deal with something like that, or people saying, oh, you can't do that, you need to go back to dispatch? And, do you have to deal with something like that?
Well, no, luckily my family is very, very supportive. My dad is very supportive.
That's excellent.
And, my sister, Stephanie Jenkins, she actually owns a dance studio, Miss Jenkins Dance Studio.
Oh.
Yeah, she has like the top black studio.
Okay.
In Columbia.
I
gotta hook you up with her.
Yeah.
So just seeing her and having the blueprint of watching her. I watched her when she was young doing this, and it took a while for her to get where she's at now.
Right.
But just seeing her walk in faith and putting the work in. So I had a good bit of support, especially, from my family, when I said, guys, and then they understood I gave so much of myself to 911 or to others,
right?
Without fully walking in purpose. And let me say this, because I don't want to make it seem like I was not in purpose when I worked in 911.
Right.
See, I needed to work in 911 because, God provides building blocks.
Right, exactly.
Okay. So it was through 911 that I learned how to empathize, because I have a big heart and I'm caring and I like to give. God had to show me how to help others without feeling so emotionally attached that you don't help them.
Exactly.
How can I help someone and don't feel like, oh my gosh, I need to cry, and now I'm not able to help you because we both tore up. So 911 gave me a thick skin.
Right. It definitely will.
Oh yeah.
It definitely will.
It gave me a thick skin, and it also cultivated and equipped me with what I needed for both business and to give me sort of the credentials for both.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's excellent that you had that family support that attributed to your success. And a lot of people just don't have that.
Yes.
And that fear of doing well and people, kind of bad talking them or just talking about them or saying you need to go back to doing this, you're not going to succeed. That really is a blessing that you had that.
Yeah.
So with all that, what's your definition of success?
My definition of success would be living out your purpose. Living out your purpose according to your will. Don't want to be biblical in this, but it does say your gift will make room for you. And with that gift making room for you, it don't only make room for you, but in return, it helps others out.
Exactly. So
my definition of success is definitely living in purpose and will according to God ordained purpose for me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like you said, it not only helps you, but it helps others, because once you make it, you can reach back and pull them along. The ones that want to come with you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If they don't want to come, you might have to, kind of leave them a little bit and maybe go back and get them a little later. But it does help everyone in the end.
It does. Yeah. Because, if you think about the word universe, uni means one. Verse, if you think about verses, it could be like I do spoken words, so it could be several verses. So if you just put that together, how I look at it is we all play a role, one, uni. Verse, meaning that we all play a script role in making this universe one. And if we all walk in purpose and in according to our will and whatever God ordained us to do, then we can have a successful world.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And for the folks that are thinking about getting into business, or it may not even be business, it may be starting something, outside of business, what key activities would you recommend these people get into, or entrepreneurs spend most of their time doing and wanting to either start a business or starting something that they just always wanted to do?
Of course, finding out what your passion, again, going back to your purpose, find out what your passion, your purpose is, because you don't want to, I call it being free. Right now, I'm free. I'm no longer in the system. So you don't want to get out the system and say you're free just to say I'm an entrepreneur, but you're still not doing what your passion is.
Right.
So I think it's very important that you find your passion, and that with being an entrepreneur, and finding out, exactly what it is that you want to do.
Absolutely.
And have a plan. Write down your plan, how you can execute it. And like I said, luckily for me, I had my sister, Stephanie, who has her own dance studio, so was able to look at her little blueprint and just watch her through the years.
Right.
My mom's no longer here, like I stated before, but my mom was a grinder. I think that, and to be an entrepreneur, you have to grind.
Oh yeah.
You have to grind. Yeah. And I think all that just flows through my blood, through my bloodline. So just seeing how my mom grind, that played, just a role. So I think, again, just to answer your question, just being able to have a goal, a plan, and able to have support of others, even if they're not in the same field with you, as far as in the same business, being able to have someone that you can say, okay, well, this is what they did for XYZ. This is how they handled this, or let me go talk to them to find out something.
Absolutely. And standing on the success, what are some of the principles that you follow to build your business?
What are some of the principles? First of all, I think that I have to have integrity.
Right.
I can't say I stand for one thing and do something totally different. So that's the first thing, is just having integrity. So I try to carry myself who I say I am, regardless of where I am and where I'm at. Because not only do I, represent my business, but it's much bigger than that.
Right.
I represent myself. I represent who God ordained me to be. So with that being said, integrity is definitely a principle.
Exactly.
Principle. And just being, like I said, another principle, just being a hard worker.
Right.
Hard worker, putting the work in.
Right.
Understanding there are going to be so many no's. When I reached out to, even I know how bad or how important it is, and neglect that 911 and dispatchers, as well as first responders, are getting as far as the mental health services and providing them the resources they need. I knocked on so many doors, and I can't tell you how many no's I got. I'm I know y'all need it.
Exactly.
I'm not coming to you with something that you don't need.
Right.
As a matter of fact, I am providing a solution so that your employees can be a better them, so your employees can help others. It's like you want them to help others, but let's help them.
Exactly.
So, just the many doors I knocked and got no's, but there was as many no's, it only take a couple yeses.
Absolutely.
A couple yeses.
Just to get the ball rolling.
Just to get the ball rolling.
That's all you need.
That's all I need.
And what's unique about your business that sets your business apart from other businesses that may be doing this in another area?
Okay. Well, the Rebirth Enterprise with the youth services, like I said, with the spoken word component, I don't know too many are business, if they're dealing with youth services or youth development, who's providing a component of spoken word in the aspect of incorporating it with emotions.
Oh, okay. So you may be the only one out there doing it.
I mean, I've heard of some others doing it, but just as far as relating it to, they might be doing the spoken word component,
right.
Because it is evidence-based.
Right.
It is evidence-based as far as spoken word being a healthy tool to help kids express themselves. But to provide it as a program, I don't know of, especially here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, especially here.
Hey.
So I would say, the component of, the emotional part, and then entwining it with the spoken word.
So you're setting the roadmap for people to follow.
Yes.
That's excellent. I'm telling you, that's absolutely incredible. What is your favorite aspect of becoming an entrepreneur?
My favorite aspect of becoming an entrepreneur is being able to take naps. It's the little things.
Right.
And that sounds funny with me saying that. But even with taking a nap, that all ties into mental health.
Right.
All ties into emotions. So again, like I was saying, being able to not only talk the part, but walk the part and live the part. You know, so before me being an entrepreneur, I'm working 12-hour shifts.
Right.
You know, and not being able to take a decent sleep. We don't go with naps.
Right.
You know, but now I'm able to schedule my time, schedule in a nap time. And I typically take my naps about 2 or 3 o'clock, because I split my days in half. I have a morning and I have an evening. Morning, I'm doing whatever I need to do. 2 o'clock, I'm taking a nap, and I'm starting my second half.
Right.
So I would definitely say for me, just the freedom.
Right.
Really, seriously, but just the freedom and all those things that come with that freedom.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think what's key, what you said, is you're just napping. You're not sleeping. You're just taking naps.
You're taking a nap.
Because most entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs that I know of, or people that I follow online, millionaires, they don't sleep 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They don't sleep in late. They're up early getting it. They're grinding.
Yep.
Like you said, they're out there grinding.
Up early.
They might, like you said, take a little cat nap here and there, but they're out there getting it.
Yes.
They're definitely getting it.
Yes.
How do you advertise your business?
Through, I put a lot of work myself.
Right.
So with the schools, I'm calling, sending out emails. With the mental health services, calling, sending out, emails, sending out my website. So basically, even in this beginning stage, because it's still in the beginning stage, a lot of my advertising is through me. I'm not paying any commercials.
Right.
Don't have any paid ads.
Right.
So it's basically me grinding.
Exactly.
It's a grind.
Exactly.
All the way through.
And you're saving on all that, like you said.
Yeah.
You're not paying all that. You're just doing it yourself and just
Doing it
building this
myself.
empire. I mean, you have 2 businesses.
Yes.
Most people I talk to only have 1. So you're getting it.
Try.
Well, with all you have going on, let me ask you this. If you wrote a book about yourself and your experience in business and everything you've done, what would you name it, and why would you name it that?
That's a good question. I could think of a lot of things I would name a book. But I would definitely say the name of the book would be Don't Let Your Past or Current Situation Define Your Future
Absolutely.
Destination.
Right.
Let me say that right again. I'll make a little poetry.
Make
Make it poetic.
I got you.
Don't allow your current situation to define your final destination. And the reason I say that is because I look back through my past. I look through the obstacles I had to come through. I look at the naysayers. I even look at my own self-doubt.
Right.
And I would never in a million years think that I had the guts, the faith to walk off a job to start my own business. When I look over the things I had to just go through in life, I would never imagine I would be here. But if I focus on what was going on then, my current situation, not current, but my past, let's go with my past. So if I would have focused on my past situations, I would have doubted myself.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I would have missed this mark. And I don't want to say if it's even my final destination, because I'm just getting started.
Right.
I'm just getting started. Hey, I'm just getting started.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, listen, I really appreciate the energy you bring to my show, and a lot of the advice you're giving. I know for a fact it's going to help a lot of people that are dealing with some of the issues that we talked about, to help overcome them. So I want to thank you so much for all the insight you've given, and like I said, you brought that energy to the show that I really, really like. So thank you, Doris, for being on my show. And like I said, I know it's going to help a lot of people.
Yes. And thank you. Thank you for thinking enough of me to allow me to have this platform. And so when you say, let me just go back to one question, and I have to always rely back on God, when you ask, well, how do you advertise? God always sends resources. And so I thank you.